Haunted houses are a dime a dozen. But when a celebrity mathematician encounters a ghost obsessed with hair care products in Edinburgh, that's when things get interesting.
Now that's something you don't hear about every day, especially in Edinburgh's Old Town, though those Gothic spires do set quite the scene for supernatural encounters.
Picture this: Carol Vorderman, wrestling with an enormous suitcase up those treacherous cobblestone streets, the wind described as, and I love this, a disgruntled bagpiper trying to steal her allure. She's seeking anonymity in this Georgian townhouse that's seen better centuries.
So what compels a TV personality to choose a questionable Airbnb over a luxury hotel? That's quite the departure from celebrity standard operating procedure.
Well, that's where it gets interesting. She's trying to escape the paparazzi, but instead of finding peace, she finds herself retrieving keys from under what's described as a garden gnome that probably violated several UN conventions on good taste.
Hmm, that's quite the welcome. What kind of condition was this supposedly haunted accommodation in?
Let me tell you, the interior was like a museum of neglect. The carpets looked battle-worn, the wallpaper featured pre-color Scottish battles, and there was this grandfather clock that ticked with what's described as the ominous precision of a tax audit.
That's such a specific comparison, though I suppose anything involving taxes would strike fear into most people's hearts.
The hauntings started subtly. You know how these things go. First, just some creaking floorboards, then this mysterious lavender scent, which stood out because Carol apparently preferred what's wonderfully described as industrial-strength harpic and the faint aroma of numerical genius.
Well, that's quite the signature fragrance, though I suppose every celebrity mathematician needs their own personal brand.
But here's where things get really interesting. On night two, a book literally launches itself off a shelf. And not just any book, Scottish Witchcraft for Dummies, landing open on a chapter about legal loopholes for accused witches.
That's oddly specific for a haunting, like the ghost was trying to send a very particular message.
And then, this is my favorite part, the grandfather clock strikes 13 times. Carol, being the mathematician she is, had to consider whether this was a dimensional portal or just faulty mechanics.
You know what fascinates me about this? The way it challenges both ghost story conventions and celebrity expectations. Here's someone known for rational thinking facing something completely irrational.
Exactly. And what does she do? She decides to investigate with nothing but her phone's flashlight and a cigarette, which might be the most British approach to ghost hunting I've ever heard of.
That's certainly not the ghost hunting equipment you'd see on those paranormal investigation shows.
The basement discovery is where things really get wild. She finds this hidden room with the most bizarre collection. A Warren Beatty locket, a journal with handwriting like a spider had tap-danced across the pages, and a bone flute from what's described as a particularly morbid recorder ensemble.
Hold on. Warren Beatty makes an appearance in this Scottish ghost story. That's quite the unexpected transatlantic connection.
But here's the kicker. When she picks up that bone flute, everything goes dark, and this ghostly voice speaks. Instead of the usual spooky threats, it demands to know where she gets her hairspray.
So we've got a ghost with hair envy? That's a new one in the paranormal playbook.
And speaking of hairspray, it's referenced throughout the story as being powerful enough to single-handedly deplete the ozone layer. Maybe that's what really attracted the ghost. Not the trespassing, but the superior hair care technology of our time.
That's such a brilliant intersection of vanity and the supernatural. Even ghosts want to keep up with modern beauty standards.
You know what makes this story so compelling? It completely subverts our expectations. Here's Carol Vorderman, known for dealing with absolute certainties in mathematics, confronted with something that defies all logic and reason.
And in the end, what's more frightening? A traditional haunting or a ghost critiquing your hair care routine?
Perhaps the real lesson here is that some things just don't add up, even for a mathematician. Sometimes you just have to accept that whether it's a ghost with hair envy or a clock striking 13, logic doesn't always have the answer.